We don't just build wealth, we build legacy. Welcome to the Retirement Income for Life show with Doug Vincent. For over 30 years, Doug has helped families right here in the DC area turn hard work into lasting income, helping you protect what you've earned, provide for your family, and retire on your terms. This is where preparation meets opportunity. This is the Retirement Income for Life show. Here's Doug Vincent.
Breaking bad habits to build a better retirement. We want to break some of these bad habits. We want to build a better retirement. So today, as an overview, we're going to be talking about avoiding a lot of these financial pitfalls that can derail your retirement. Welcome to the show. This is Doug Vincent. Hope all is well. Those of you in the DMV area, just shouting out to you right now. Our offices are right in Greenbelt, Maryland. So if you haven't already scheduled your 100% free complimentary consultation, schedule that with us today. Listeners can meet with us with no obligation. Our website is Retirement Income, the number 4, life.com. You can always reach us by phone at 301-242-3950. Also, your favorite podcast, our YouTube channel. You can definitely see this episode and others by logging into our YouTube channel right there at Retirement Income for Life. And hey, don't hesitate. Contact us. We're here to help you. This is something that we do on a regular basis, helping people with their retirement planning, risk management, their estate planning, whole lot more to help you build financial plans as we have been discussing. Once again, 301-242-3950. Don't hesitate to reach out to us if we can be of assistance. All right. Our overview for today, as I mentioned, we're going to start with bad money habits, just diving into some of these things that you must avoid as a pre-retiree moving towards retiring. Secondly, we're going to give you a Social Security update, talking about on last week, inflation and timing of benefits. When I get this question once a week, when should I take my Social Security? And we're going to dig in on that. Also, we'll talk a little bit about inflation, and those of you that are in your 50s, you've got some money moves for you to make as you're planning to retire. And then to wrap things up, we'll dig into some of the questions that we've been receiving from our listeners, and we'll answer some of those frequently asked questions. Our quote for the week, some financial wisdom for you for this week, coming from none other than Warren Buffett. He says, chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. Uh-oh. Let me repeat that. Chains of habit are too light to be felt, bad habits, until they are too heavy to be broken. And that's exactly where we want to begin today. Some bad money habits, some bad decisions. I don't want you to damage your future retirement in your 30s and 40s, especially as you get to your 50s. You definitely don't want your money habits and bad decisions to affect your portfolio and different other things that you are preparing to have as you prepare to retire. Let's jump right in. Bad decision number one. Bad decision number one happens all the time. Selling investments when the market drops. Just simply selling your investments when the market drops. Too many people buy too high and sell too low. Okay, historically, the stock market has always gone through phases, different phases of contraction, different phases of recovery, and different phases of expansion. You know, you want to avoid making impulsive decisions. When the market's down, your emotions, can be real heightened and lead you away from previously planned good investment strategies that you had just because you've gotten emotional. Okay. And selling emotionally normally is a bad decision, right? Selling investments when the markets drop right? You're locking in those losses, and you're hindering gains, for the long term. Now, what we advise, if you don't already have someone to talk to, somebody that does this every day, you want to consult somebody who's looking at this market on a daily basis. And hopefully they've been looking at this market for years, right? You always want to have a professionally designed retirement plan. And in this case, for accumulation, right? You're accumulating funds so that one day they will distribute. And so you've got to develop a diversified investment strategy that aligns with your risk tolerance and your long-term goals. Okay. Some are very conservative. Some of you are right in the middle, and some of you want to take a lot of risk. Okay. And say, that plan needs to line up with, your tolerance for risk. So you're never on these emotional roller coasters thinking you're going to lose all your money, right? Staying invested while staying informed. Staying invested while staying informed. You could be saying, well, that's easy for you to say when the market just went down 20%, or that's easy for you to say when I just lost $200,000. Well, if, as I just said, the market is going to always retrace. The market has a historical pattern that you should be talking to with your advisor, your financial advisor. There are patterns that you can dictate. Of course, we don't know when the market's going up, when the market's going down. We don't have a crystal ball here, but you can follow historical patterns, and that's where your advisors and people that can help you stay invested and help you stay informed. This is where they come in. So market contractions can actually be used as opportunities to invest when prices are lower. Don't you like to buy things on sale? I'd rather pay 30% on the dollar for that same, dress, or that same pair of jeans, or that, something that you understand. When you go to the mall, you're looking for sales. A lot of people would rather pay $500 for something that costs $2,000. You get my point. Okay. And so you want to be able to look for opportunities to invest when prices are low. Buy low, sell high, right? Most investors buy high and sell low. And what I'm saying to you is that's a bad decision. All right. Bad decision number 2, claiming your Social Security benefits too early. I got to get my money. I'm 62. Well, I got to get my money is not a financial plan. Okay. Now you may need to take it at 62. Okay. But why? Why are you claiming your Social Security benefits at the age that you have in your mind right now? Right. Claiming Social Security, watch this, benefits before full retirement will start your payments at a reduced monthly rate. And that's going to be in place for the rest of your life. If you take it at 62, for the most part, you are at a 25% or more reduction. Okay. And hey, if you look at your numbers and you see the number for 62 versus your full retirement age, which is probably 66 or 67, somewhere in there, you're going to like that number a lot better. But on the other hand, you could be saying, well, I don't want to wait that long. Okay, this is where the strategic planning comes in, right? You have to consider the long-term impact of this important decision for you, your spouse, your family, okay? Instead of making an emotional decision, a bad decision on when you take Social Security, how about filling out, putting together a plan, right, that possibly would delay Social Security, right? Might push it back so that you're maximizing benefits related to potentially you having another working life in retirement. Okay, it's a lot of different exercises you can go through to see what money would be distributed to you from different ages. Of course, we don't have a crystal ball on when we're going to die, but you can play around with those numbers of taking it at 64 and I live to 90, or taking it at 70, I live to 90. You can also play with the 62 number. For a lot of people, 62 is not too early, but for a lot of people it is. So don't find yourself in that bad decision making process of doing making an emotional decision related to Social Security. There are concerns. Okay. We understand that. I'm listening to people every day that are worried about the future cuts to Social Security affecting their retirement. Okay. We want to, and hopefully advisors that you are talking to, we want to provide you with what we call a Social Security maximization plan, which is customized with you if you're single, or you and your spouse if you're married, right? And all that information that goes into that. If you don't have a Social Security maximization plan, you need to put one in place. Okay. You need to talk to your advisors about that. You need to talk to us. Okay. We're putting these things in place on a daily basis. Give us a call, 301-242-3950. Also, you can register for a consultation on our website, retirement income, 4life.com. Also, if you have not gotten your free Retirement Income for Life Survival Kit, it is available right at our website for free. Won't cost you a dime. A lot of these things that we're talking about, you can download for free. You can do that today. As I said, free of charge. All right. Bad decision number 3, not having a savings first mindset. Not having a savings first mindset. Here's another quote from Warren Buffett. He said, do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after savings. You got that? You want to spend after you've saved, all right? Here's a fact, and this is why we're talking about this as being a bad decision. 40% of Americans don't have enough savings to cover a $400 emergency expense. If you had a $400 expense over and above your fixed and variable expenses on a monthly basis, 4 out of 10 people do not have the money to cover that. So you know what happens next. We're going into debt. We're using credit cards. We want you, if you're listening here, we want you to prioritize savings to build a financial safety net, right? Those are the kinds of people that we really try to help. I mean, if you're neglecting your savings and, you're vulnerable to unexpected expenses that could hinder your future retirement plans, you've got to get into a different mindset, a different decision pattern where you're paying yourself first, you're saving first, right? Automating your savings, setting it up so it's a regular contribution. Every time you get paid, it goes into an account like clockwork. It goes into an emergency fund, right? If you're eligible, you should be maximizing your IRA or Roth IRA contributions each year, right? That's going to reduce the future taxes you're going to be paying in retirement if you are not only in your normal qualified plan or traditional plan, but that you're in a Roth IRA. So once again, we encourage you to go online, right? Contact us, after the show, go online, look for these things like compound interest calculators, right? You can spend some time playing around with those, and then you can start seeing the power of consistent savings. Okay. The power of consistent savings. All right. Bad decision number 4, not having a realistic budget, right? He said, well, forget the realistic budget. I don't have a budget at all, right? Okay, here's another fact. 41% of Americans follow a budget. So 4 out of 10. So 6 out of 10 do not follow a budget, right? Are you the CEO of your own household? Are you managing your finances that are allowing you to put away savings and money so that you're going to be able to reach your retirement goals? Without a budget, it's so easy to overspend and so easy to lose track of your financial priorities, right? So you want a detailed budget. This is going to include all your income sources and expenses, and it's going to reflect your actual spending habits. Okay. Is your money telling you what to do every month, or are you telling your money what to do every month? People that money tells them what to do have no idea at the end of the month how much I spend at Starbucks, how much I spent at fast food restaurants, how much I spent on clothes, how much I spent on Uber. Is your money telling you what to do, or are you telling it what to do? Okay. Regular reviews and adjustments to your budget, right? This is going to accommodate the changes you need. So you're not making this bad decision anymore. If you don't have a budget, you should be putting one together immediately after this show, right? If you do have one, you should be reviewing it at least once per year. All right, you get that. All right, bad decision number 5, paying too much in housing costs, right? Housing is often one of the largest expenses for retirees, and overspending on housing can really restrain how much you're able to save for retirement. So we're not saying you don't want to buy a house. We're just saying don't overpay for it. You want to have a good mixture of comfortable housing expenses as well as a comfortable savings for your retirement budget, right? You may need to downsize the closer you get to retirement because you need to save more money, right? You may need to relocate, right? Somewhere more affordable, some other areas that you may want to live that you can afford to save more while also living comfortably. All right, number 6, carrying a balance on credit cards. Okay, carrying a balance or too much on a credit card. So average credit card debt for Americans age 65 and older is $4,700, right? Carrying a balance on a credit card can lead to high interest rate charges. You're talking about stress, right? That's going to be financial stress every single month. Avoid that pitfall of that credit card debt and get into the habit, okay, once again, the savings habit, so that you can pay off that balance every month. Okay, if you're going to use a credit card, use it so you can pay off the balance on a monthly basis. Okay, bad decision number 7 is our last one for this week. Not having a formal retirement plan. How many times have I said that in the last few weeks? You have to have a retirement plan. Okay, you need to think through what that's going to look like in those golden years, 60s, 70s, 80s, regular streams of income that will cover your expenses, right? This is going to include healthcare, right? A formal retirement plan helps you set goals and you make informed decisions, right? Not bad decisions. You make informed decisions about saving, investing, and spending. Okay. Many people feel like they understand their money for the first time. I really understand, this situation called my money the first time after meeting with us, meeting with other advisors, and developing a formal plan. You have to create a comprehensive retirement plan tailored to your specific goals and needs. All right. As you know, we can provide a consultation for you. We can put that retirement plan together for you as well. Just give us a call, 301-242-3950. Visit our website, Retirement Income, the number 4, life.com, and we can definitely help you with that. So here's a question for you. Have you heard from your advisor lately? People that you work with, your family consultant, those that have been hopefully helping you, whether you're looking to optimize your investment portfolio, maximize your Social Security benefits, create that retirement plan I just mentioned, you have to have a team around you. Our team is ready here to assist you. Just get in touch with us and set up that consultation. Also, download your free Retirement Income for Life Survival Kit right at our website, Retirement Income, the number 4, life.com. All right, Social Security. Let's jump into this real quick. As of April 2026, the reality of Social Security payments, right? Average monthly payments for Social Security right now in 2026 is $2,076.41, right? That's roughly $25,000 per year. This is what most retirees actually receive on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis. And experts are warning this is not going to be enough. If you live in the DMV, you already know one check of $25,000 per year will not work. So we got to get this myth out of the way that Social Security was designed to supplement savings, right? I'm sorry, to replace your full-time income and not just supplement savings. Let me say that again. Social Security was designed to supplement savings, okay, not to replace your full-time income. That's never going to happen, okay, now, especially not in Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, okay? So who's getting more than the 25, okay? Those that are getting more than 25,000 a year or 2,000 a month, this is how you can calculate this. Your benefits are going to directly correlate to your earnings during your working years. Okay. Social Security calculates benefits using your best 35 years of earnings. So working at least 35 years with good income can significantly increase your payment. Even high earners who get above average benefits shouldn't be relying on Social Security alone. Even with the high salaries, and with higher salaries come higher lifestyles, right? And Social Security is not going to maintain that. So timing is everything. Right now, full retirement age is 67 for anyone born in 1960 or after. This is when you can claim those benefits without reduction. All right. The power of waiting, also, you could wait to age 70. That's going to increase your payments by 8% a year after your full retirement age. So here's an example. If you're entitled to $2,000 a month at age 67, waiting to age 70 could boost your monthly income to roughly $2,500 a month. That's an extra $6,000 per year for the rest of your life. And the math says if you're going to live into your 90s and you take money before 70, you would be leaving money on the table. That's a whole nother discussion. But you must know why you're taking Social Security and what age and what are those numbers? How does that affect my possible career in retirement? I might be in retirement another 30 years, okay, 25 years. How is that going to affect you? All right. You don't necessarily need to be a millionaire. Let's call this the savings imperative, okay? But having some savings along with Social Security, right, that can distribute is going to help. That's critical, right? Small monthly contributions right now to your IRA can make a huge difference over time. It's called compounding interest, right? This supplemental income can support your Social Security payments. Okay, let's say, just as an example, your Social Security is going to cover the basics, and then your savings covers everything else, right? Just some strategies to think about before you take Social Security. Okay, some lesser known strategies could potentially add up to $23,760 more to your account. And this is where professionals are involved. And this is where, like I said before, strategizing comes in related to your spousal benefit. How could you optimize that, right? How does work after you've retired affect your calculations, right? Strategic timing on these claims, right? A coordinated effort of all your different retirement income sources. Okay, what we have today in America is what's called a preparedness crisis. 46% of non-retirees say they don't expect to be financially prepared when retirement arrives. Okay, so roughly 50% of the people listening right now don't believe they're going to be financially prepared when they retire, right? That should be a wake-up call for anybody listening, anybody still in their working years. You can't start planning in your late 50s, your early 60s. You got to start planning now in your 20s, 30s, 40s. It's not too late if you're 50, but you got to get going. Okay. If the average payment for Social Security is $2,000 per month, and we're breaking that down to about $25,000 a year, good and well, you need some other legs to that stool that's called income distribution from somewhere else other than Social Security. All right, so here's some action steps that you can take. Don't count on Social Security as your only retirement income. We already know that. Start or increase your retirement account savings, your contributions. You got to start that now. Consider working with a team of advisors to understand your benefit maximization strategies, right? Now, for those of you getting close to retirement, okay, run the numbers on when your claim benefits, are going to start paying out, right? And, maybe you need to start reducing some debt and doing some other types of things, anticipating for those claim benefits to start distributing. And then finally, work those 35 years to maximize the Social Security benefit calculation. Okay, you got to make sure you put that time in, right? So if you need more income than Social Security can provide, okay, if you want to explore personal pension options for your retirement, maximizing your retirement income potential, other strategies that'll provide other legs to that stool, okay, give us a call. Okay, we are doing this on a regular basis to explore these type of things with you. 301-242-3950. Go to our website, retirement income, the number 4, life.com. Our retirement income for life survival kit is there waiting for you right now. You can download that absolutely free of charge. And listen, if those pitfalls that we've talked about avoiding are something that you do on a regular basis, okay, if you currently are living without a budget, every time an emergency shows up, I don't have it, I have to go into debt. If that's you, and you, especially if you're living in the DMV and you are looking towards retirement in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you have to get started. It's not an option. Okay. The option would be is that you're working for the rest of your life. Okay. And a lot of people that come in, they say, I can't see how I can ever retire. Okay. Well, a lot of times it's not being seen because I don't have a formal plan on paper. And so I'm just going through the motions and don't understand it. It's actually possible. If it's not possible right now, put together a plan so that you can document that I'll be there in 15 years or I'll be there in 10 years. All it's going to take is this amount of savings and I will be there, at this time. So once again, give us a call, jump on our website, get in touch with us. We would love to help you anytime. All right, let's go through an inflation demonstration. Americans' retirement, let's call this America's retirement magic number on the rise, right? America's retirement magic number, it's on the rise. So we often say that retirement is less about reaching that one big magic number and more about the income you can create in retirement. Okay, just think about it. It's not really about the magic number of 65 or 70 or 60. It's really about what can distribute each and every month. What if you could get $15,000 a month at 50 and your expenses right now are $7,000 a month? Couldn't you retire, today at 50? Yeah, let's start looking at the magic number called income distribution that will distribute more revenue than my expenses. Let's start looking at that. All right. So here's a study published by Northwestern Mutual. They found the magic number that Americans believe they need to have accumulated in order to retire comfortably was $1.46 million. Okay, that's the magic number right now. And this is a tie for the highest level on record. Okay, there's only been one other year where that amount, came out in a published study. This is going to represent a 15% jump from last year. Okay, so in 2025, people were saying they needed 1.26 million. Okay, what are the factors that have, caused that $200,000 raise? We've been talking about it. You've been hearing about it, and it's persistent inflation. Okay, cost of goods and services are more. It's costing people more to go to the gas station. It's costing people more to go to the grocery store. It's costing people more while, watch this, they're also living longer. Yeah, healthcare has gotten more expensive, but healthcare has gotten better too. And people are living well into their 80s and 90s. I'm sure you may know somebody in your family, your neighborhood, your church, that's 100. Okay, it is very, very typical that I will talk to somebody that looks in great shape as 85 years old. Okay. And so living longer, persistent inflation, and uncertainty about Social Security has people saying, I got to have more money before I retire. This is my reality check, and I've got to make sure I have that 1.46. Okay. So $1.46 million, right? So reality check, 46% of non-retirees don't expect to be financially prepared when retirement arrives. So basically 5 out of 10, okay? According to Fidelity's guidelines, you should have 4 times your annual salary saved by age 45. Who's with me? Raise your hand. 8 times your annual salary saved by age 60, okay? So we've got some wood to chop if we're 5 out of 10 non-retired Americans, okay? Where do you stand? 4 times your annual salary saved by age 45, all you that are 45 or older, do you have 4 times that 100,000? All right. How about 8 times your 100,000 if you're 60? Okay. So Gen Xers who are ages 46 to 61, 54% have only 4 times their income or less saved. And just 19%, so 2 out of 10, have reached that 8 times benchmark. Okay. What's that mean? That many are significantly behind, right? 45 is too late to start. We got to get started early. But hey, if you are 45, you just got to save more. Okay. Save early and save often, right? If you're under 45, man, when you start your career, if you're listening to me, you just got out of college, 22, 23, 24 years old, you just started, you finished a trade school, you're running your bit, whatever you are doing, start saving early. Okay. Don't spend all your money that you earned. Okay. You begin that process in your early 20s. Oh man, the math shows up, the accumulation for those that start in their 20s and really are consistent with that. The math really adds up. It's nothing for me to meet with someone who's accumulated $1 million, $2 million over the course of their 35 years right here in the DMV. So it is very possible to see that happening. So you want to flip that equation, flip your spending equation. Instead of earn, spend, save, right? Earn, save, then spend. Okay. Can't earn, spend, save. You must change that habit to earn, save, and spend. So as you earn more over your career, keep your savings percentages consistent or increase them, right? Don't increase your spending, increase your savings, right? This is a critical foundation, right? Pay down those high interest rate credit cards, get that money into your emergency fund, your savings accounts, have, if you can, have adequate disability insurance just in case there's an untimely disability, while you're building your emergency fund. Okay. These are reality checks, folks. You have to flip the script on these habits. All right. So for my older listeners, okay, some tips for you approaching retirement. The reality check on spending is about 55% of pre-retirees are planning to spend less in retirement than they currently do now. Financial advisors are warning this, right? That this is harder than it sounds. People are saying that, but it's harder than it sounds, especially if you're no longer working 9 to 5. You might spend more on travel, right? Visiting your grandkids, playing golf every day. You never know that those expenses might be higher, right? So you may want to consider, if you don't have built-in raises of legs of the stool that can be, paid out later for cost of living inflation, or just flat out for the trips you want to take, you may want to consider working longer or working up that business you always wanted to start, or something part-time. What we're seeing is more Americans are doing it. So 41% of US adults are planning to work during retirement. And that includes 50% of Gen Xers and those that are millennials. Okay. So the benefits, we talked about this a little earlier, but the benefits of working even a few extra years is you're delaying your Social Security. That's going to increase your monthly benefit, right? You take smaller distributions from your retirement account, which keeps more money invested and growing. Okay. And so then also, one of our clients, they took Social Security a little bit later. Okay. Was able to then take money out, from their 401k at smaller, intervals, not as much was needed. And also they took a part-time, job while they were retired, right? Fulfilling work, doing something they wanted to do while they got paid, keeping the flesh moving, and it improved this person's financial picture significantly. Okay, so look, retirement's not a fixed date. Okay, let's get the magic date out of the way, and let's start focusing in on the income. Right, you got a lot of choices, a lot of options. Okay, that you want to put together in a formal plan. Right, these are not the dramatic, emotional decisions. As you're building on this over time, you're making small adjustments, and those small adjustments will, they're going to prevent these bigger problems later. So whether you're 25 or 55, okay, 35 or 65, the key is taking action. Okay, there isn't the perfect timing. The perfect timing is now. So we encourage you, if you're listening and if you're already a client, great. If you're not, don't focus in on how much you have. I can't call you because I don't have $500,000. No, we want you to contact us this week. Give us a call, 301-242-3950. Jump on our website, retirement income, the number 4, LIFE.com. Okay. Yes. If you have $1 million and you want to talk, great. But if you got $100,000 and you're just starting, if you only can put away $100 a month, look, we want to help you whether you're 20 or you're 70. Okay. This is something that we do on a daily basis. And so, give us a call, jump on our website, let us know how we might be able to help. All right. So let's jump into some other things we had mentioned. And this is for my 50-year-olds. Okay, I want to hone in on people that are in their 50s. And you, as we've mentioned before, you've got multiple financial responsibilities. Okay, you're not only trying to save for yourself, you're probably paying some expenses for your children. You could also possibly be caring for an elderly parent. You're also, looking towards retirement savings. It's a lot of things on your plate that you find, we find ourselves in if you're in your 50s, right? So I'm right there with you. I'm 56 years old. And here we go. Here's 3 smart decisions that could save you a significant amount of money in retirement. Okay. If you are in your 50s, you want to think about this now. One thing that we find and we're seeing on a regular basis is securing long-term care insurance to cover expenses in your later years, right? What do we keep saying? Is healthcare getting more expensive or is it getting cheaper? We know it's getting more expensive. It could be one of the largest expenses you have in retirement, right? Healthcare takes up more of our lives when we are in our first few years of life. And once again, when we are older, okay, as early years and latter years, you're looking at healthcare costs, being higher. So the median price of a private room for an assisted living facility in America today is $64,000 and $64,200 per year. Okay. If you had an untimely long-term care need, what would you do? Do you have the insurance? Do you have the money? Have you put together a plan related to, long-term care needs? We're seeing more and more people that are living longer. What if it's Alzheimer's or dementia or things to where your physical body is still okay, but your mental capacity isn't. You know, we don't wish, and I don't wish any long-term care challenges to come upon you or me or anybody. But I know a lot of people right in my own family that have had those challenges. And so you want to consider long-term care planning, insurance, other ways around getting prepared for that and making sure you have those funds just in case. Secondly, you want to increase your 401k contributions, you in your 50s, to boost that retirement savings. You may only have 10, 12 more years if you're 50. Okay. See if you can max out your savings. See if you can put away a lot more money than maybe you did when you were in your 30s or your 40s. A 55-year-old earning $80,000 per year could have an additional $16,779 in a retirement fund at 67, all right, with a 1% increase in their contribution, just increasing it by 1%. Okay. A lot of you can go up 2, 3, 4, even 5% a year, maybe even more, but you have to increase your contributions to your 401k. All right. Diversify your tax buckets by adding money to a non-retirement investment account. Here's another thing you want to do if you're in your 50s. Okay. Every dollar withdrawn from an IRA is going to be taxed, right? It's going to be taxed as ordinary income in retirement. While you're earning on those brokerage accounts, you know, taxes are actually going to be lower because you're paying a capital gains rate instead of when you have to take money out of your 401k. That's going to be an ordinary income tax rate. Okay. So that IRA can be opened as an individual IRA that accompanies your 401k, right? But you can only invest, and you know, in this account. This is an account you can own and invest if you're single or jointly with your spouse. So both of you all can have these on top of your already 401ks. Okay. If you don't exceed the earnings limits, we believe contributing to a Roth IRA each year is a great way to build a nest egg. And that nest egg is tax-free wealth. Okay. Roth IRA held over 5 years. In most cases, the distributions will come out tax-free. So you want to talk about this with your advisor. If you already are contributing to your 401k, but then you haven't opened an IRA, that's something you want to do. And a Roth IRA is a great option to reduce those taxes in retirement when income starts to distribute. So you got to take charge, 50-year-old. If you're 50 or older, it's time to take charge right now. Your financial future depends on it. Your retirement planning is going to depend on this. You know, we're offering over and over a complimentary retirement and financial consultation to work with our team, you know, right here in Greenbelt, Maryland, 301-242-3950. And you can always visit our website at retirementincome4life.com. So get that taken care of. Meet with us, meet with your advisors, whatever you need to do. Okay. You know, start working with somebody today. Okay. When you work with us, you know, it's all about you. We're focusing on your retirement picture. We get to know your goals. We get to know your lifestyle, you know, what you're working towards. We evaluate any plans you currently have, your investments you currently have. You know, we want to make sure everything is aligned as you look towards that retirement future. And then we put together, help you design an easy, picture where now recommendations are involved and how you move forward. So now those recommendations align right with what your needs, your desires, all your wants are. And so you're confident as you're going into now your retirement future. Okay, we take the time. We need to answer these questions. We need to really listen to you. And this way you're, not retiring and it's a guessing game. Take the guesswork off the table. A simple conversation can do that. Give us a call, 301-242-3950, or always our website, retirementincome4life.com. All right, let's jump into a few of these questions that you had asked leading up to our meeting today, Nancy from DC, she said, what are some strategies for minimizing taxes on my retirement income? We've been talking about that a lot. Okay. Not taking as much out of your 401k. Okay. Your 401k is going to be touched at ordinary income tax. Okay. And even though you might be on a fixed income with Social Security or a pension or things like that, you could literally take out too much from your retirement account and push yourself into a higher tax bracket. Secondly, we mentioned a Roth IRA. It's going to distribute after 5 years in most cases without taxes. So that's another way to minimize taxes. You're supplementing your income with vehicles you've already paid tax on. Whole life insurance is also an option that we help people take loans out of their whole life insurance policies as well. If you got $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in a life insurance policies, that possibly could be used as income in retirement. That's a few strategies. There are plenty more, but those are a few that I could leave with you, Nancy, for today. All right. Here's another one from Gary from Silver Spring. He said, how do I know if my current advisor is really looking out for my best interest? My investments don't seem to be keeping pace with the market. Well, Gary, all I can say is you should give him a call and sit down with him and see if there is a strategy that is aligning with the market performance that you think you should get. He may think he's doing right by you. Give us a call. We'll give you a second opinion if that's something you want to do and look at why things aren't keeping pace. That's one of those questions to where until someone has the information, it's hard to give you a definitive answer on that. But that's something that we do every day. All right, one more. Let's see. Should I pay off my mortgage before I retire? Or is it better to keep the mortgage and invest my money elsewhere? That's Susan from Waldorf. Well, Susan, once again, that's a planning question. Some people should pay off their house because they're on a fixed income. They don't need that $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 mortgage, and so they need to pay that house off before they retire. And don't have the money, they got more monthly money with that house expense. And don't let a health challenge show up. On the other hand, a lot of us should be using our mortgage as leverage. Okay, a lot of people in the DMV area should never pay off their house. Okay, because if you have a balance sheet that could pay that house off every day, listen to what I just said. If you have a net worth balance sheet to where you could pay that off every day, because I got $1 million in a brokerage account and I got a $400,000 mortgage, you are not in debt. You could pay that off any day. So now you've taken away the leverage of paying off that house. So many people take money out of their qualified plans and then have to pay a 30-40% tax just because I wanted to pay off my house. Well, a lot of times those are bad decisions. Okay. Listen to me carefully. I am not saying in all cases you should not pay off your house. Some people should. But in a lot of cases, you're taking away the retirement leverage by doing just that. All right, let me take one more. How can I calculate the amount of money I will need monthly during retirement? And how does inflation affect this calculation? That's Robert from Bowie. Robert, very simply, Robert, you just look at your monthly expenses. Okay. What are my monthly expenses that I'm going to have going into retirement? Okay. Then you've got to think about, where is the money coming from when I finally do stop working? Do you have a pension that's going to take care of those expenses? Is it only Social Security? Is it coming from my 401k? What are the vehicles that you want to have already mapped out? Once again, you've accumulated a certain amount through working, or you've accumulated an amount through savings. Now, when these start to distribute, okay, have you worked out a budget to make sure that you can retire on that fixed income? Now, finally, how does cost of living and inflation play into that? That's a very good question, because you want to have some faucets you can turn on after you've been retired 5 or 10 years. You don't want to turn all the legs on of the stool immediately. This is why people are taking Social Security later, This is why people are taking out retirement savings from Roth IRAs or taking out systematic distributions from their 401k. You have to factor in cost of living and inflation raises, especially if you have longevity in your cards. If you're going to make it into your 70s and 80s, cost of living and inflation will pinch that fixed income. Very important questions, very good questions. Keep sending those in. We'll try to answer as many as we can. And so now for our last topic of the day, let's call this from saving to income, right? We've been talking about that over and over. Accumulation versus distribution. Okay. While you are working, you are focused on growth. You are focused on saving and contributing regularly. The market's going up or down. The volatility is actually your friend, because when the market is down, you're buying shares when prices are low. Okay. But you have time to ride out the volatility. And now you've gotten to a point to where, in a lot of cases, I see people that have won the race called accumulation. They've gotten to that 1 million. They've gotten to that 800,000. They've gotten to that 2 million. They've won the race. Okay. And what happens then is you have to take some different strategies, some different approaches, so that the volatility doesn't become dangerous to you. Okay. You don't want to be in a position to where you're no longer contributing to your 401k. You're no longer getting the matching, right? And you don't have an income strategy to distribute all that you've accumulated. Okay. Taking out money and selling during downturns and increasing the amounts that you take out of your 401k could really take that balance down to where you thought it was going to last to your 90, but it ran out at 75. Okay, so here's the reality. A 30% market drop when you're 45 and still contributing is a buying opportunity, right? But the same drop in your second year retirement when you're pulling $50,000 out a year to live on can be devastating, okay? Why a large balance is not enough. But, this is what we're saying. A large balance is not enough. Okay. The account balance is not a scorecard. It's a tool. It's like any other tool you need to know how to use it effectively. You need a withdrawal strategy. You need a strategy where you've created a retirement paycheck, right? You want to balance out the risk and making sure that there's stability and growth there, while still considering that you need to fight off inflation. Right? Your portfolio can't be too conservative either. Okay. It's not going to keep pace. If it's too conservative, it's not going to keep pace with the rising costs over a 20 or 30 year retirement. Okay. You don't want all your money at risk, but you don't want too much not in the market. Okay. You also are going to need reliable income. Have you created reliable income? Right? That is there to cover those expenses no matter what the market does. You have to have that plan in place as well, while having some growth for long-term purchasing power. The near-term need for income, as well as the long-term purchasing power and growth in your investment. So a common approach is to keep 2 or 3 years of living expenses in cash or short-term bonds. So if the market drops, you're not forced to sell off all your stocks at a loss, right? The goal is to sleep well at night, knowing you can pay your bills off, this year, while also making sure your portfolio is working to support you for the next 15, 20, possibly 30 years. So if you want to know what your savings actually looks like distributed over a 20, 30 year period, while you've used that accumulation to create a monthly paycheck, you've used that accumulation to create a distribution plan, let's call it a pension that you've created on your own, that's something that you need to give us a call. We're doing that each and every day. We want to help you turn that accumulation into distribution income. All right. So once again, 301-242-3950. Our website is retirementincomemanagement.com. the number 4, life.com. We look forward to helping you. Don't forget your retirement income for life survival kit. Download that absolutely free. We look forward to talking to you. We look forward to helping you with all your retirement income for life needs.